Us on the I Love CVille Show. A pleasure to connect with you through the I Love CVille Network, a show that airs wherever you get your podcasting content and any social media platform of your choosing. Today's program is dynamic, where you, the viewer and listener, are encouraged to shape the discussion, ask questions, push Judah and I through new realms of thought or aspects of thought that we're missing or not considering. We just want to be the water cooler of conversation. We're grateful for your viewership and listenership. We're also grateful for a partner like Otto Turkish Street Food. They're located on Water Street, and we've truly enjoyed spotlighting this locally owned business on our talk show. It's a restaurant and a brand owned by two local guys that make fresh food every single day, and they bust their hump. They're open 7 days a week. Judah's had it. I've had it. The food is delicious. We encourage you to support partners of the show and to support a locally owned business that is doing things the right way, and that's Otto Turkish Street Food. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. We have done our best at trying to relay the news or the talking points of the day that we think are most important. And folks, on a talk show like this, you give your opinion and you offer commentary every day. And some people find our commentary compelling. Some people find our commentary aggravating or infuriating. Some people find our opinions and they nod their head in agreement, and others find our opinions and shake their fist in the air and curse Judah and I out, whether driving in their car or listening through their earbuds at the gym.
Not me.
Or having a conversation with people in the neighborhood about what Judah said or what I said. When it comes to this Virginia protest, and when it comes to most of the predictions that we make on this show, they're based on either conversations I've had personally, conversations I've had with stakeholders that apply to what we're talking about. They're based in fact. So when we were the first, to discuss this junior varsity hazing incident with the Albemarle JV football team in a locker room at Albemarle High School, and no one else was talking about it, and folks pushed back on what we said, we stood true to what we were saying on this microphone. And we said something happened here, and it was wrong, and it is going to attract police attention. And months after catching heat for offering that commentary, we were proved to be right. When we talked on this talk show about the former mayor utilizing city-issued credit cards to pay folks or to compensate folks to speak before council and the public portion aspect of council meetings, we caught heat. But we knew what we were talking about on this show because we talked with folks that had intimate knowledge of what was going on. When we talked on this talk show about the Marie Bett team opening up a breakfast eatery on Maury Avenue in the former Anna's location, a chopped down version of the former Anna's location on Maury Avenue, we knew what we were talking about, despite the owners of the restaurant coming out and saying that, hey, you're speaking too soon. And the reason we offer that commentary is because we have conversations with folks that matter. Last week, I was making a statement on this talk show that the arrest charges with the UVA protests, a protest that happened 2 Saturdays ago, that will forever live in infamy with the University of Virginia, forever live in infamy when you call in the Virginia State Police and you militarize the police and you use pepper spray on teenagers and students who are protesting something they're passionate about on university grounds. That's forever going to live in infamy in the history of the university. And we said last week, we said right after the incident, we said earlier this week that the charges for those that were protesting, 27 people arrested, including one woman who was charged with assaulting a police officer. We said those charges would be dropped. We said they would be dropped. And when we said on this talk show that those charges would be dropped, we said, what's the cause and effect of those charges getting dropped? And we said last week that the cause and effect would put the president of the University of Virginia, his job in jeopardy, and put his future in Charlottesville in a very uncertain state of being. And those predictions today are proven to be true. The Daily Progress, I will give them some props. They are covering this story extremely well. And a story that was released, 5 hours ago, is highlighting the charges getting dropped for protesters, including the most severe charge of assaulting a police officer. Judah Wickower and I, on this talk show, we explained to you the woman that was being charged with assaulting a police officer. We explained that we saw video evidence of what she did. We explained that we had evidence that what she was doing was not assault, but instead was helping an older woman who utilized a cane to walk around. And she had the back of an older woman, a UVA professor, who was using a cane to get around. And guess what? Today, that is the reality. The most severe charge of the protester, of any of the 27 arrests, the most severe charge now dropped, the assaulting the officer. If the most severe one has been dropped, common sense will tell you all the charges will get dropped. And as common sense tells you all the charges are going to get dropped, you have to ask, what is the cause and effect, or what are the next domino that are going to fall? And the next domino that are going to fall, whether, and I don't utilize these words lightly, I understand the magnitude of what I'm about to say in this talk show. If the 27 people that are arrested in one of the ugliest days in University of Virginia history see their charges dropped across the board, then there is no longer tangible proof, tangible evidence, tangible reasoning to call in the Virginia State Police and to militarize a police and to utilize tear gas to break up a protest, an American right. And at that situation, the job status of the president of the University of Virginia is without question in jeopardy. We're going to unpack that on the Thursday edition of the I Love CVille Show. Judah Wickower will weave you in on a two-shot, my friend. So many questions that are left unanswered. Jim Ryan now utilizes language like this: before the faculty that he is the governor or president of. He says, if all of you decide I'm not the right leader, that is your choice. If all of you decide that I am not the right leader, that is your choice. A comment Jim Ryan made in front of the university's faculty senate in an in-person meeting. Mm-hmm. The tea leaves suggests the president of the University of Virginia is starting to see support wane. You combine the reading of those leaves with Youngkin's appointments to the Board of Visitors that are going to happen this summer, and you add the fuel of the Jefferson Council and Razorblade Ellis and his influence into the mix, and you have a president that's compensated $1 million plus a year in total compensation, in absolute state of professional jeopardy.
And maybe he sees the tea leaves himself and is ready to exit the job.
A wise man once told me this. A head coach of a major Atlantic Coast Conference football program in a face-to-face meeting at the McHugh Center. A wise man told me, Jerry, You want to know why athletic directors and football coaches and basketball coaches transition from one job to the other? Because we leave before we get fired. And it's much easier to get another job when we leave under our decision or choice, as opposed to a pink slip showing the door and having someone walk us to the exit when our personal belongings are in a cardboard box in our hands.
Yeah.
You have an incredible turn of events over the last 2 weeks. You had a school president that was the golden boy. He seemed to have the Midas touch. He could run around grounds in the morning and have dozens of community members and students running alongside him. You had a school president that created volunteer groups and committees, asking locals in the community to join and offer their opinion on affordable housing, on what the University of Virginia is doing right and wrong. You had a school president that was running a Boston Marathon in support of the Virginia Children's Hospital. You had a school president that was diving into swimming pools, supporting national championships when it came to the swimming and diving team. You had a school president that was wearing Virginia hats at baseball games and basketball games, going to national championships, celebrating Virginia athletics, and championing the academic success of a university that's known worldwide. In less than 2 weeks, we've seen a fall from grace. In less than 2 weeks, we've seen a fall from grace at a rate faster than maybe we have ever seen in Charlottesville. I want to ask you this question. We've seen a lot of folks in positions of power and influence in the city of Charlottesville, whether elected officials, appointed officials, whether school presidents, business leaders, heads of nonprofits. In a 13-day period of time, hell, a 10-day period of time, have we seen a fall from heaven through purgatory into potentially metaphorical professional hell, like we've seen with the president of the University of Virginia?
I don't know if I'd go that far. Like I said, I almost feel like he...
A man who is begging, or if not dispirited, in front of university's faculty senate, as the Daily Progress wrote, Ryan's tone and demeanor were marked by resignation. Second paragraph of the Daily Progress article today, props to the newspaper. Though no university officials have publicly called for Ryan to resign, Ryan's tone and demeanor were marked by a resignation of their own at the university's faculty senate meeting last Friday.
And further down, it says, it quotes him as saying, I don't know anyone in their right mind who would want to be a president of a university right now. So fear of losing my job is the last thing that motivated my decisions, said Ryan. I would never do anything just to keep my job. I'm not interested in keeping my job for the sake of keeping my job.
Which, all right, we have to unpack that comment. I'm not interested in keeping my job for the sake of keeping my job. That is the antithesis of 99.9% of people that have jobs today. Why do you go to work? At I Love CVille and VMV brands. Why do you go to work?
Because we need money.
Because you get paid. And why do you keep coming to work? Because you get paid.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Jim Ryan is saying to the world, I am not interested in keeping my job just for the sake of keeping my job. That is the language of a man that sees writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Did you not find that statement jaw-dropping or at the least perplexing?
There's been so much off about this that I honestly have thought that he was possibly looking for an easy exit.
I think what's happened with all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is when we see the aftermath, and when we're going to see the aftermath is when these Youngkin appointees come to the Board of Visitors. We are potentially going to see someone that was a political pawn. No, correction. A political puppet. And someone behind the veil was working the president, the police chief, and unfortunately, Virginia State police officers. There was a puppeteer. And if it's the governor, if it's the Board of Visitors, if it's the Board of Visitors and the governor working together, they have their puppets out there as their fall guys and their fall gals. Mm-hmm. Nothing in Jim Ryan's tenure would indicate militarizing the police and pepper spraying students. Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Nothing in Tim Longo's tenure or history would suggest doing this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But they did it anyway.
Supposedly.
And Judah, you're chalking this up as his way to exit stage left? That's what you're saying?
You're talking about him being used as a puppet. He is the president of UVA. He's got a very good, he gets paid well. He gets to, as you've mentioned before, he gets to stay at Cars Hill. I think anyone in his position would rankle at being used as a puppet if that's what's being happened.
Unless they didn't realize they were being used as a puppet in real time.
Do you really think that?
If you're ordered to do something by a Board of Visitors or a higher power, do you have a choice? And if that order comes with a gag, you made the gag order that you can't tell who did this, then you're being used.
Even more reason to get out, as you said, before you're fired. That's what I would do. I mean, you're right. He's been mostly on a roll. He's done a fairly good job.
He said the Midas touch
with a few.
The handling of the Ziana Bryant protests on Water Street, when a UVA student, a female UVA student, was victimized. When a female UVA student was scarlet lettered as a racist and booted from the university, with retrospect.
Yep, that was weak.
She proved to be not in the wrong, but was scapegoated by a digital mob
and
of activists.
Seemingly would have been an easy thing to set the record straight and repair her what do you want to call it? Her record, repair her legacy, however you want to phrase it, but instead did nothing. There hasn't been a whole lot that's marred his
nothing
term.
He's been the Teflon Don. The Teflon Don. And he had built so much goodwill that goodwill made him bulletproof.
And maybe he doesn't want...
Until a nuclear weapon hit 2 Saturdays ago. John Blair has a fantastic suggestion of someone locally who's had a fall from grace, perhaps swifter than Jim Ryan's fall from grace. And that's Chris Dumler. Do you know Chris Dumler?
The name sounds familiar.
Chris Dumler was a rising star in the Albemarle County Democratic Party. He was the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors representative in the Scottsville Magisterial District. He was still is an attorney who worked in the town of Scottsville. In October of 2012, Dumler was arrested by Albemarle County Police and charged with 1 count of forcible sodomy. He later pled guilty to misdemeanor sexual battery and was sentenced to 30 days in jail. Dumler resign as a board of supervisor. This was a guy who I believe, if memory serves correct, was in his late 20s and was on a clear political path of delegate, state senator, U.S. senator, congressman. He had a very quick fall from grace. Mm-hmm. I've been here 24 years. I want you, the viewer and listener, to help me answer this question. And we'll go from 2000 to 2024 because that's what I can speak on in this area. 2000 to 2024, I arrive as a mischievous first year in the old dorms of the University of Virginia, Dabney 101. Dabney Hall 101. And now I'm a husband and father of two and a business owner that will hit his 16th year of being self-employed and running a business at the end of this month. Viewers and listeners, help me answer this question. In the last 24 years, have you seen a fall from grace that has been faster or more swift than what we have seen right now with Jim Ryan? Anyone have an answer? John Blair's got a great one, and Chris Dumbler. I would say Ryan's fall from grace faster than Dumbler and certainly more visible and certainly significantly more to lose. Anyone. Chief Brackney had a significant fall from grace, but that was not swift. That took place over time. Chief Al Thomas had a fall from grace. Al Thomas was in a lot of ways scapegoated for August 11th, 2017. Fall from grace. Anyone. You, Judah, if you have a suggestion.
I've never fallen from grace. No, I can't think of anyone.
August 12th, August 11th, 2017. A12, A11. Mm-hmm. Al Thomas resigned in December of that same year. From August 12th, 2017 to December 18th, when he resigned, 2017, you have September, October, November, December. The police chief, $250,000 in compensation, probably total when you include everything, had a fall from grace a 4-year period, or a 4-month period. 4-month period. Jim Ryan's has been 10 days.
Yeah.
Some would make the argument his fall from grace happened within 72 hours. Kevin Yancey says Hunter Smith with Champion Brewing Company.
I don't know how swift that was. It was, it was kind of an ongoing train wreck.
Agreed.
I think we'd have to look back at when the most serious accusations started, and I think a lot of people kind of knew
for sure
his character.
Us, the first to vocalize it on this talk show.
I mean,
the first to vocalize it in a media platform. We caught heat for vocalizing it, but Judah Wickhauer and I knew what we were doing was right and proved to be true. To Judah's point, it did not happen immediately. It didn't happen with 72 hours. It didn't happen within 10 days.
Right. And sadly, it took basically financial downfall to...
and Laura Fodder.
Well, that's why I mean sadly, because he, I think, took a lot more people down with him than he would have if it had been a swift downfall, which is a shame. Certainly in Laura Fauner's case, and in the case of a lot of people who worked for him and trusted him for payroll and ultimately their jobs.
Their professional careers.
Yeah.
I mean, you now have one of the best chefs in the community working at a private club for a much more limited audience.
Mm-hmm.
What we've seen in the last 10 days is mark my words, we make a lot of predictions that materialize on this program. Mark my words, Judah Wickhauer, what we've seen over the last 10 days and what could head into the summer if Youngkin's appointees to the Board of Visitors act in a new direction with the president of the University of Virginia. It is the makings of a Netflix documentary. This will turn into a documentary on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. Mark my words. What questions do you still have? How about who the outside agitators are?
Yeah.
I want to know this. Were there actually even outside agitators?
That's a great question.
27 people arrested, one of them charging for assault. Those charges have been dropped. That leads you to question anything. Were there outside agitators, in fact, in this protest?
We may never know. I mean, nobody has given any indication. I believe they've said that they were people who were involved in previous, protests. They may have been involved in A11 or 12, but
the allusion was made to that.
Yeah.
The allusion was made, people involved with previously damning incidents that happen in our community.
Which could be, not a whole lot of things.
What is that, jaywalking?
Provoking other people to jaywalk.
What is that, failure to tip at the whiskey jar? What is that, taking some money when the cashier's not looking at the give a penny, take a penny jar at the Market Street Market? When Jasmine's got her back turned, someone's taking some of the change? What's that? Putting a $1.25 into the Daily Progress dispenser, the newsstand on the street, and taking 3 newspapers instead of 1? Is that going through the Wegmans self-checkout line and having water in your grocery cart and not running it through the self-checkout scanner and just walking out? Are those what the outside agitators have done to the community?
Important questions you're asking.
Critically important questions I'm asking. I also have the following questions. What if grades are held hostage by professors? What ramifications or accountability measures will we see?
For the professors holding back grades?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's what this is. What they're doing is synonymous to this. Judah, you are paid in part to be the director and the producer of the I Love CVille Network. Judah comes into work and says to me, I'm not going to be the director and producer of the I Love CVille Network, and I still want you to pay me. It's the same thing. It's this. I'm going to go to Petit Pois as a server and bartender, and I'm not going to serve any customers or pour any wine or make any old fashions, and I still want to be paid. Holding grades in hostage is synonymous with that.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, but
make an argument otherwise.
They're
paid to teach and issue grades.
They've essentially done that all semester long. This is the 10th inning, the end of the school year.
The most important aspect.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue that this is like them not doing their job for the entire semester. I see where you're going with it, but I mean, I don't know what at that point is Jim Ryan just going to hold up his hand and say, you know what, guys, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. I'm out.
He just said, I'm not interested in this job for the sake of a job.
Yeah.
He also just said in front of the faculty, if you don't want me here, that's fine.
Yeah.
If a boss had one of their team members come to him and say, if you don't want me here, that's fine, and I don't really care if I have this job. That's what he has done.
Yeah. I swear he's got somebody pressuring him, and you're right. He's probably, I don't know that he's got an NDA, but
a gag order.
Yeah, whoever it is saying, look, you're going
Would you cross the governor?
You're going to do this, and man, you know, if you're in a position of power like that, are you really gonna bow your neck for the yoke of whoever it may be? And
I mean, unless they got some kind of leverage.
I mean, you said it yourself. Coaches quit before things get bad. Maybe he sees the writing on the wall and sees that he's not getting his head out of this yoke, his neck out of this yoke any other way. Than by making himself scarce.
Very straightforward question. Two straightforward questions for you. The first one from Kevin Yancey, one of the key members of our family. You got his photo on screen?
Just about. There we go.
Kevin Yancey asked the question, whose grace has he fallen from, Jim Ryan?
Well, I mean, we've talked about
this is a very straightforward answer.
Headbutting with the Board of Visitors.
Whose grace has he fallen from? Just about everybody's. Just about everybody's.
Okay.
A virtual town hall that was a dubious PR stunt. A fractured faculty that is waning in its support of the president. Seems the only faculty speaking on record in support of the president are the law school professors. A student body that is dispirited, demoralized, and downright disgusted with leadership. Community members that are lacking trust. Alumni that is perplexed and confused. Follow-up question. Kelly Jackson, I'll get to your comment in a matter of a moment. Tom Powell, I'll get to your comment in a matter of a moment. Powell, the founder of the Toy Lift. Kelly Jackson, the most prolific restaurateur in the Central Virginia community. Period. Kelly Jackson. Most prolific restaurateur in the Central Virginia community. Straightforward question. You ready for this one?
I have no idea.
Will Jim Ryan be the president of the University of Virginia at the start of the fall semester in 2024?
If I had to guess, I'd say no. If I had to guess, I'd say he's done with the BS, and as you said, he's going to make a move before he's fired or otherwise made to look bad. And you could say that this is that thing, but
because the UVA faculty Senate,
yeah,
the leadership team of faculty, the governing body of UVA faculty, is investigating how this was handled.
Yeah, not that they're. I don't think they have any actual power to do anything.
The very odd or very unfortunate turn of events or very unfortunate circumstances is this investigation, the investigation of a protest that happened on grounds at the University of Virginia 2 Saturdays ago. It is going to coexist at the same time. An investigation has just concluded with the murder of 3 football players on grounds. 3 football players, a murdered on grounds by another student, a student for a long period of time that was known to have a gun on grounds. Mm-hmm. A history of trouble on grounds. That investigation is in hand right now and waiting for the Commonwealth's Attorney of Albemarle to have his case finished. That's on one hand, right on the front of the shelf. All while an investigation of this protest is happening in real time. Mm-hmm. Kelly Jackson, she says this, 2 comments. I would be so pissed if my kid went there and I paid in full. I would ask for my money back. It's a contract between you and the school for a full service. She says, I would just want transparency from any school so I know what I'm signing up for. Bingo. I made that comment earlier this week. If I was a parent of a student right now and my kid was not getting grades to graduate, or my kid was not getting grades to finish a first-year transcript, second-year transcript, or third-year transcript, I would demand my semester tuition back.
Yeah.
And if enough University of Virginia parents demand their second semester tuition back, then ladies and gentlemen, you have a SHIT storm on your hands.
I would see a lot of professors getting canned.
Tom Powell says, seems like a lot of CYA is going on. We have other topics we got to cover on the program. John Blair says, I have a rather forgotten fall from grace for you. James Haffaday was appointed to the Charlottesville Police Advisory Board. In 2011, he ran for the Democratic nomination for City Council. After losing the Firehouse primary in August, he was charged with election fraud. If memory serves correct, John Blair, he did not even live in the city of Charlottesville. Is my memory correct on that? He did not even live in the city of Charlottesville and was running for council in Charlottesville, Virginia. If my memory is correct, that's what happened. Kelly Jackson said, I would also want my money back for housing and food.
No doubt.
Housing and food, I don't know if you could get, because they're getting the housing and food. They got the housing and food in full effect.
I mean,
could you ask for your money
argument
back for housing and food if you were one of the 27 arrested and you had a no trespassing order on grounds, which the students did? They were told not to trespass on grounds, and then those charges were dropped. Those folks may ask for their housing money back.
No, they'd never get it.
How do you follow? The charges were dropped.
For being told not to go to your housing for a day or two?
It was more than a day or two. They were humiliated. They were tarred and feathered. Their name will forever live in infamy on the internet.
How many names do you actually know besides the photographers?
If you apply for a job, your employer is going to Google your name.
Yeah.
And anything is going to come up. That UVA student who got caught in Ziana Bryant's crosshairs for that protest on Water Street, that UVA student who was labeled a racist by activists, that story will forever be tied to her on the internet.
Yeah, but that was one name, and they spread her name far and wide.
My point is, that has damaging, lasting impacts.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this does, though.
Kelly Jackson also highlights other universities where protests like this happen. Police were there in 5 minutes, and the protest was over in 30 minutes. It was just mismanaged. We have a couple of other headlines we need to get to. Why don't you put the headline on the screen for the interview yesterday? Or what's the headline coming out of the UVA protest that we need to get to?
Question still left to answer to it. Which one are you talking about?
Is there any? What's the headline coming out of this block that you can read on air?
You want the one about Kurt Johnson?
The headline coming out of the UVA protest block.
Okay. Reaction to Wednesday interview with Kurt R. Johnson.
If you didn't watch the show yesterday, you missed one of the best interviews we've done. Where's the book? I'm going to get the book. The author of this book joined us on the show. Schooled the miseducation of an American teacher. And he utilizes his experience at Charlottesville High School, where he taught the 9th grade for 1 year, as the foundation for much of this book. It was a compelling interview. I read this book, Judah read this book. If you want something to read before you go to bed, something that will leave you stunned, something that will leave you floored, something that will turn pages quickly, and one that you can read in a sitting or two, this is a book that you should consider, especially if you live in this community and you have children. What struck me from yesterday's interview was the lack of accountability at the high school when it came to students that caused trouble. What also struck me from yesterday's interview was the lack of support the teachers were receiving from administration.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to yesterday's interview. It's wherever you get your podcasting content. What struck you?
I mean, pretty much the same thing. It's at any job, you need to know that the people above you support what you're doing. Otherwise, I don't know how you continue doing your job. I mean, I'm completely empathetic with the teachers who decided to leave the Charlottesville school system because working in an environment where you're not supported by your superiors is it's painful. It's a struggle. I mean, Kurt talked about having to jump in to try to stop students from fighting, but having no framework for how to respond, or if he would get in trouble, which he did later for something that wasn't even, a physical alteration, just stopping a student from entering his classroom. And he gets, what was it called, a citation of concern?
In his file.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts.
It is nuts.
And he liked, what's his name, Rashad Pitt? Is that what it was?
Yeah, the principal.
He said he
spoke highly of him.
Yeah, he said he was a nice guy. But then, the guy's like, "Hey, other people have seen it. I can't do anything. I gotta write you up for this." I mean, how do you work a job where your superior doesn't support you?
There it is. Read the book, ladies and gentlemen. Holly Foster says this, the Queen of Henrico, the show yesterday with Kurt Johnson was fantastic. We need more educators like him. Holly, thank you for watching the program. A couple of items from the Deal Flow, the business notebook. Waterbird Spirits, first located in the Water Street building, formerly known as the Clock Building, the corner of Water and 2nd Street. The founder of said company is Wilson Craig, the founder of Waterbird Spirits. Waterbird Spirits are canned cocktails previously made here in Charlottesville. This is exciting news. Wilson Craig says, "Guys, we're excited to announce that Waterbird has been acquired by Gallow. We are honored that Waterbird is now part of this iconic family-owned American company and sold alongside Gallow's storied brands. To all of our customers, retailers, distributors, family, and friends, thank you. Your support means more to us than you know. This is only the beginning. I am honored to stay on and to work alongside Gallow's team to bring more Waterbird to even more people. We look forward to spreading our wings and continuing to deliver the amazing Waterbird products that you have come to know and love. Waterbird Nation, let's rock. We have a Charlottesville business, birthed in Charlottesville by a Charlottesvillian, by the son of an entrepreneur, the son of a developer. He manifested a brand, he birthed the brand, he nurtured the brand, he matured the brand, and he sold the brand. Waterbird Spirits is now part of the Gallow family. Wilson, Craig, salute you. This is, in a lot of ways, the American dream, what you have done in a very short period of time. Congratulations. One other item out of the business notebook. Judah, you can give us these details. There's a new commercial real estate outfit in town. The show is yours, Judah Wickhauer.
This is a mid-Atlantic real estate firm that's pretty active up and down the eastern seaboard. They are, McKenzie, and they're planning on moving into Virginia, the entire Virginia market, and as a beginning to that move, they are opening an office in the Boar's Head Professional Center. Here's a quote. We view Charlottesville as the gateway to our full expansion throughout Virginia, with target areas including Roanoke, Norfolk, Tidewater, and Virginia Beach. Charlottesville is a center of influence in Virginia and a right-sized market which plays to our strength of providing boutique-style commercial real estate services. Tenants value dealing with professionals who have intimate knowledge of the local area, rather than interacting with an out-of-state brokerage representative. And that emphasis is among the ways we intend to differentiate ourselves from the existing offerings. So,
this is the space that I live in. More options is good for the consumer. Commercial real estate is strong in Charlottesville and Albemarle and in Central Virginia. It is a very different ecosystem here than what is reported in the national media.
No doubt.
This is the Thursday edition of the I Love CVille Show. His name is Judah Wickhauer, and my name is Jerry Miller. We work hard for you. Spread the gospel that is the I Love CVille Show. We're going to be back on air with Real Talk with Keith Smith tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. to talk real estate, and with the I Love CVille Show tomorrow at 12:30 to close the week down. It's graduation weekend. We have a handful of days left of students on grounds, and by Tuesday of next week, this town and this community will be much less populated. For Judah, my name is Jerry Miller. So long, everybody.